What is going on, Pokemon fans? Welcome back to JDs NerdVerse. We are doing a prediction video today for a Versus Series video, Vileplume versus Parasect. We're looking at doing a ranking video soon for all the grass types in Generation 1. Now, I think I've figured out 1 and 2. I think they're pretty much set themselves away from the pack, and I think I've figured out 5 and 6, and they've separated themselves from the pack in the bad way. They're the bad ones, the slow Pokemon. But these two are hovering right in the middle, and when I played through them initially, they both hovered around the same time, so I thought, I need to play through both these anyway. Let's just make it into a versus series. Kill two birds with one stone, and we'll get a little bit more of a figure out of how these Pokemon, how they work, why they work, what moves they have, stats, so on and so forth. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into Paras' stats. Now, Paras is known as the Mushroom Pokemon. It has a medium fast growth rate. That's not an advantage for him. Medium fast actually not the best rate to have in a Pokemon solo playthrough. Medium slow is the best one to have. But let's go ahead and go over the stats of this Mushroom Pokemon. HP is 35, Attack is 70, Defense is 55, Special is 55, and Speed is 25. So the total base stat total is not 285, it's actually 240. Okay, so that's what we're working with this Pokemon. Not very good stats. At level, I believe it's level 21. Yep, nope, level 24. We can evolve into Parasect. Will we? I don't know. We'll find that out, but I think there's some strategy behind not evolving into Parasect at level 24. But the stats nonetheless for this Mushroom Pokemon, it's also known as a Mushroom Pokemon. HP is 60, Attack is 95, Defense is 80, Special is 80, and Speed is 30. So this is a very slow Pokemon, one of the slowest fully evolved Pokemon in the game. And the stats are pretty decent, but we do have to subtract out 60. So we're looking at a 345 base power move, or stats with this Pokemon. So not the greatest, but it does have some, redeeming qualities, which I'll go over here in a little bit. But let's go over its opposition, Oddish. Oddish, Gloom, and Vileplume. So Oddish, known as the Weed Pokemon. This Pokemon comes out with a stat total, HP is 45, Attack is 50, Defense is 55, Special is 75, and Speed is 30. So we're not rocking 320 base power. We got to subtract out 65 from that for looking at 200 and 55 base power base stats for this Pokemon. Not very good, but we do evolve into Gloom if we want to at level 21. We probably won't in this, and I'll kind of go over that here in a second. But Gloom, also known as the Weed Pokemon, has HP is 60, Attack is 65, Defense is 70, and Special is 60 or 85, and then Speed is 40. So the reason why I don't want to evolve into this at level 21 is because when you look at its moveset, if you evolve into Gloom, it pushes back when you get certain moves. And when I go over the moveset, you're going to see why we might not want to do that. Okay, plus I just recently played through with Bellsprout, Weeping Bell, and Victory Bell. And in that playthrough, it really did benefit us not to evolve until a certain point because we got another move. There's just a whole bunch of benefits to it. And strategically, that made that so I had to play through a grass type under like an hour. So I think it would be in my best interest to do that with this Pokemon as well. And I think that's the fastest way to get through with this Pokemon. So yeah, that's its stats. And then when we get a Leaf Stone, we give it to Gloom. We evolve into Vileplume. Vileplume is known as the Flower Pokemon, which ironically is also Victory Bell's name. But we have HP of 75, Attack is 80, Defense is 85, Special is 100. And Speed is 50. So when you subtract out its Special Defense of 90, you're looking at 390 base power for a fully evolved Pokemon. And when you compare that apples to apples with Parasect, 390 versus about 340. It's 345. It's definitely an advantage Vileplume in that regard. Okay, now it does take a little bit longer to get to the full stats with Vileplume, but Parasect does evolve a little earlier. But all in all, once fully evolved, Vileplume does have superior stats across the board for every metric except for physical attack. Defense is better, Special is better, Speed is better, HP is higher. So those things are a huge advantage for Vileplume. Now let's go and go over the moves of these two Pokemon, and you'll kind of get a little bit more of the tail of the tape. So we're going to start with Paras. Paras starts out with Scratch. Scratch isn't a good move. It's 40 base power, 100% accurate, but it's good for this Pokemon. Early in the game, you're going to come across a lot of two things. Flying type Pokemon with, Spearows and Pidgeys. And you're also going to come across a lot of bug type. We are bug grass. So we're a lot of bug type are also poison. So we're going to come across a lot of poison type Pokemon. We're actually 4 times weak to Weedles because of Poison Sting. But Scratch is a neutral damaging move, which isn't going to be resisted, whereas if you look at Oddish, it starts off with Absorb. Absorb is Grass type, so it's not going to be very effective against Flying type. It's also not going to be very effective against Bug or Poison type Pokemon. So, advantage Paris there. However, both these Pokemon have to get through Brock. And Paris, Scratch isn't going to cut it. Brock is Rock type. He's going to resist Scratch. Stun Spore isn't going to be that much of a help at level 13. But Leech Life might be. Leech Life is definitely where it's at. So we got to sprint to level 20 to take on Brock. I rewatched my previous playthrough. I tried many iterations of the Brock battle without having to get to level 20, and it just didn't work. So the strategy is just get to level 20. Stun Spore is too inconsistent, and we're too frail a Pokemon to sit around and wait for siphon out all of his full heals. So sprint to level 20. The other battles will be okay because of Scratch, but getting to level 20 is going to be ideal for Paris. Whereas Oddish, it's not going to be ideal for the other trainers, like, you know, your rival number 2. Rival number 2 has a flying type, and it has a fire type Pokemon, a flying and fire type Pokemon. And you got to deal with a lot of bugs, you got to deal with a lot of birds. But once you get through all that, Brock will be a cinch. Absorb's going to one-shot both of his Pokemon. So you don't have to be at level 20, you don't have to over-level. You just got to get through it. Now, we do want to level up early and not be stuck in the spot where we have to backtrack and level up and whatever, because Route 3 is going to be brutal for Oddish. Whereas Paris, it's not going to be brutal. Paris at that point will have 2 damage-dealing moves. One can replenish its health, and at that point in the game, you know, we're over-leveled, so we're not going to take a lot of stuff back. We're going to outspeed a lot, so that's going to be advantage Paris. So Route 3 and Mount Moon are going to be pretty okay, not easy, but okay for Paris. Whereas if you look at Oddish, Oddish just has Absorb. He doesn't have another damage dealing. You have the Poison Powder, but you're not going to last in a lot of battles. Again, Flying type, Bug type, Poison type is going to be, you know, going to have something you have to deal with. And the only other thing you can do really is add Bide, and both these Pokemon can add Bide. So now you're looking at Paris, it has 3 moves that can do damage, whereas Oddish only has 2, and Bide really isn't a great strategy with Bide. It's not a great Pokemon. It's not a great move to have. It's okay, it's better than nothing, but it's not a great move. So Paris will definitely gain some ground in this part of the game. He'll gain some ground in Mount Moon and Route 3, and then when you get to Cerulean City, we'll progress from there, and I'll explain that a little bit. But if we prolong our evolution at level 24 for 3 more levels, we can get Spore, the most powerful, most accurate sleep move in the game. And what's great about Gen 1 is the opposition can't attack on when it wakes up. It has to take the whole turn to wake up, and then we can just put it back to sleep. So Spore is like an unlock code for this Pokemon. It's really nice. So what we also get is access to Slash and Growth. Now, I don't think we're going to use either one of those, and I'll explain why here in a minute. But Oddish, you really need to sprint to level 24 once you beat Brock. Because at level 24 you get Acid, and now you actually have 2 damage-dealing moves other than, you know, Bide, but you had Absorb and Acid. Okay, you do get Sleep Powder, which is way more accurate than Sing and Hypnosis, but it's still not as accurate as Spore, so it's not as consistent as Spore. And then level 33, which is, you know, once you get to this move, you can basically evolve into Gloom. And that's the strategy, is we get all the way to level 33 before we evolve, and then we get a 70 base power, 105 base power with Stab, and then accuracy is 100. So much better moving than Solar Beam to get the end. Solar Beam is very powerful, but it's 2 turns, and a lot of things late in the game aren't really weak to grass. So Solar Beam taking 2 turns just leaves you vulnerable, in my opinion. But that's how they match up level up wise. Okay, but where I think what tips the scale in favor to me personally of Paris is its TM moveset. So Paris' TM moveset, once we get to Cerulean City, where Misty is, we're going to beat Misty. She's not going to be too much of a problem. She won't use any water moves, so she'll just use Tackle. Okay. We will also use Scratch, and a combination of Scratch and Leech Life. I think it's Leech Life, yeah. And Starmie is part Psychic, so that's going to be super effective against Starmie. It's going to replenish our health. And then once we get all the way to Bill's house and come back to Cerulean City, we can fight one more trainer and get Dig. Dig is immediately going to transform this Pokemon from a Pokemon that's barely getting by to a Pokemon that's going to be thriving and just kicking the crap out of a lot of things that's across from it. Dig is a 100% accurate ground move. That's 100 base power as well. So very powerful move. We get that as soon as we beat the Rocket member right outside of the house that was broken into. Okay, and with that move, we have a very powerful move right there. And then shortly after that, we get another powerful move. So we can't hit Flying type with Dig, so we're still relegated to Scratch and even Leech Life. But as soon as we get on the SSN, we can fight one trainer and get Body Slam. So now you're looking at a Pokemon that has an 85 base power normal move, which can hit anything that Dig can't. Okay? And then we have Dig, which can hit anything except Flying type and is super effective. Okay? So we have two great moves right there. On top of that, we still have Spore, and we're probably going to keep Leech Life so we can have something effective against Psychic Pokemon. So that's our moveset, and we haven't even beaten our third gym. We have that before we even beat our fourth rival fight. So that's where Parasect has a way to really gain ground and really speed up its momentum in the game. So that's where I think Parasect has a huge advantage. Oddish can get Body Slam, but it can't use Body Slam until it evolves into Vileplume. Okay? And that's why we want to give the Leaf Stone to Gloom as soon as possible, but we can't do that till Celadon City. And then we can teach Body Slam to Vileplume. So that's where I think there's a huge advantage for Parasect. They both get Swords Dance, okay, which actually, again, it benefits Parasect. Parasect has a higher physical attack stat, so increasing its physical attack stat while in proxy increasing its other stats is a huge advantage for Paras because its best moves are physical. Whereas Vileplume's best moves are special, and Swords Dance will increase the special stat, but not nearly to the degree it's going to do physical. So I think that's another advantage for Parasect. And what's also very odd with me is Vileplume doesn't get access to Growth. Growth would be much better for Vileplume than it would be for Parasect, because Vileplume is going to use a lot of special moves. Grass-type moves are special. And it would still up her physical attack stat, or the Vileplume's physical attack stat. It just wouldn't... it would just be mainly catered to the special stat, though. So, other than that, a lot of the moves here are the same. Takedown, Double Edge, Hyper Beam are all the same. Rage, we're not going to use any of those. But Mimic, we're probably going to use it for one of them. Maybe both, but usually for one. Double Team's outlawed. Reflect, not going to use for either one, but can be used. Bide might be used for one of them. Skull Bash, I'm not using at all for Parasect. Rest could be used for both. Probably not going to use them at all, though. Substitute and Cut. So the moves are very, very similar. But that one advantage of getting Dig earlier and getting access to Body Slam a lot earlier, I think is going to tip the scale. Which brings me to my last part, which is my actual prediction. So, I'm going to be playing with Paras/Parasect first. So they will get a huge advantage. Vileplume will get a huge advantage. Because I'm going to see the playthrough and see where there's going to be problems with Grass-type Pokemon. Especially ones with lesser stats. And then we're going to be able to look at it and say, okay, how is Vileplume going to improve on this? I still think Parasect will win. I don't think he won't win by a large margin. I don't think this is something that's it's not going to be 10 minutes like it was Gyarados and Poliwrath, but I think it's going to be a couple minutes, maybe even a couple seconds difference between these two. And if I deem them close, I'm probably going to mark Parasect as the winner, because Parasect is going to be the test dummy. I have not played with these two in probably over a year, easily. And my rules have changed and things like that. But Parasect, if I play through Parasect and then play through Oddish and then play it again with Paras, Paras would probably have a huge advantage there because it had gotten 2 playthroughs and got to learn from its mistakes. And I think Vileplume is going to learn from Paras' mistakes. And it's going to make it close. So, yeah, that's my prediction. I think they're both going to get done less than an hour and a half. I don't think it's going to take that long. Definitely been able to upgrade my playthrough and figure that out. But what I think is going to happen, I think Parasect, that middle game is going to be clutch. And there's a handful of things that its moveset make it so it's not as big a problem it's going to be for Oddish. Okay, Oddish, it leaves a lot more to chance. So I think that's a huge advantage for Parasect and Paras. So, that being said, that's my prediction video. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. This video will be airing on Friday. So you'll be able to see Oddish versus Paras. Now, on my Versus series, I haven't got a lot of comments. I need feedback. I want to know if you like the way it's laid out. Do you think there needs to be both things on the screen at the same time? I need a little bit of feedback. So I'd like that. I'd really appreciate it from anyone who watches. Give me some feedback on the prediction video as well. What do you think is going to happen? Who do you think is going to win? Why do you think they're going to win? How do you think they're going to win? Let me know in the comment section down below. There will be two little things on the screen that are going to pop up. One will be last week's video, which I believe was Chikorita in Generation 2. And the other one will be a playlist for Generation 1. Let me know what you think. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys on Friday.